Hi, and welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm Martin Bailey, and joining us today is James Wright, Managing Director from Lime Copywriting. Welcome, James, and thank you for taking the time to join me today. How are you?
Hi, Martin. Thank you for having me. I'm good, thank you.
It's absolutely our pleasure. So, look, to start us off, probably the best place to start is why don't you tell us a bit about you and who you are and what you do?
Okay, well, as you just said, I'm the owner of Lime Copywriting. I've been a writer now for about 12 years, and that was prompted by a sort of 30-year-old's crisis, thinking, what do I do with my life now that I haven't really started any career as such? So I've been writing for 12 years. Lime Copywriting as a company has been around for about 5 years, and there's myself and 3 others who work there. And we've just turned into a limited company, looking forward to expanding even more over the coming years, hopefully.
Fantastic. So you've been on quite a bit of a journey then in the last 5 years. I mean, you're obviously growing because you've got 3 other people working for you. So what do you attribute your growth to?
I think it's cliche, but I think a lot of it is just hard work. I started really at the bottom of the industry, working for peanuts. Really, it was I think my first job, I seem to remember, was 10 articles for $10, which was, I think any writer would scoff at that now, but it was that hard work at the beginning, going through the motions, understanding and learning about the business, and really focusing on learning what to do to deliver quality, not cost at the beginning. And then as the knowledge came around, you can start to build your costs, build your price up then.
Okay. So I mean, obviously you did quite a lot. As you said, you were doing quite a lot of understanding and learning about the business and building your knowledge. So how did you build that knowledge? What sort of things did you do to build your knowledge up?
Well, it was really learning on the job. I started off working for a number of clients. I started off on a site actually called Elance, which is much maligned by, it's called Upwork now, much maligned by many copywriters, but I actually found it as a really helpful place to learn. So a huge variety of clients there, learning about everything from copywriting techniques to search engine optimization, making sure that I had a really rounded understanding of the industry. And that served me, I think, really well for moving forward and to confidently offer those services to other people when Lime Copywriting opened.
So what was your big? I mean, learning on the job. I mean, that's quite challenging. As you said, you kind of focused on quality before you started building up your price. What sort of things did you do around quality, or what sort of things did you do to focus around that quality for your clients?
I think in the copywriting world, because unfortunately there's a bit of a race to the bottom for a lot of people in that and I know I was guilty of that originally, but sorry, I've lost my train of thought now.
I was just asking about quality. So in terms of how did you focus on that quality? You said there was a bit of a race to the bottom, and you were guilty of that as well. So how did you get the quality back into it?
Well, there was no race for the bottom for me in terms of quality. It was in terms of price, the race to the bottom. In quality, I think it's just about being very consistent with what you're doing, and at the beginning realizing that you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Yeah. And if you learn from those mistakes, then your quality will automatically go up when you rectify them.
So there was quite a lot of accepting that mistakes would be making. So rather than beating yourself up, there was more focused around learning from them and making yourself better rather than saying, "Well, I failed" or "I've not succeeded."
I wouldn't say there was no beating myself up. I think there's when you make a mistake, you're always going to beat yourself up a little bit. But like you say, learn from those mistakes and really move forwards. And especially at the beginning of your career, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. So just, like you say, just accept them and ask yourself what you can do to learn from them.
Did that sort of challenge you in terms of your mindset with regards to, when you beat yourself up? Did you find that held you back?
I didn't really beat myself up. I mean, I've got a history of a few mental health problems. So it was quite difficult when things did happen, confidence-wise. Confidence can really take a hit. But you've just got to look at the past work you've done. If you've done 20 great things and then you failed just once, then you're obviously doing something right. So you've got to really say to yourself that I've done a lot of good things. Don't focus on the bad things. Learn from the bad things, and try and focus on the good things.
Which is great advice to all business owners. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if you know, it's called the power of three. So actually, to remove a negative thought, it takes 3 positive thoughts to remove a negative thought from your mind. And you're right, because if you stay focused on that one negative thought, then that can then just take control and perpetuate, and then you go and seek to validate it and everything else. Whereas if you then immediately go, well, wait a minute, I've done these 3 great jobs. It immediately moves from your mind, and you stay positive and focused on driving forward. So great bit of advice there. So if you were to rewind the clock, you rewind back 5 years, yeah, and you were to start your business from square one again, is there anything? What would you do differently? Is there anything you would do differently?
I think, of course, there's things I'd do differently, because you've got to look back and realize that, definitely, there's always things that we could have done differently to make things better. I think I'd have been more trusting of other people. I'd have been more willing to let the power go, as I said, in a way of saying. It can be quite easy when you're an owner of a business to become obsessed with every single part of it and have to make every bit perfect and micromanage to the nth degree. But I think there comes a time when you've just got to say, look, I trust this person, let them get on with it. Or even if you don't trust them, just let them do it anyway and hope, because you can't do everything in a business, especially when it's growing. So you've really got to delegate and let people let go a little bit.
How long did it take you to realize that?
Oh, it was a process of a couple of years, probably, of trying to work with some people, them perhaps not doing the job that I wanted to do, then having to work with someone else and then eventually you find someone who's fantastic, and that kind of lets you take the back seat. So it is all about, it's not just about the mentality of letting it go, it's also about finding the best people to do the job. And I suppose that's something else I'd do from the beginning, is really invest more time in finding the absolute best writers, as I've done now, and pay them well. That's it does really correlate. I think I was guilty in the beginning of thinking I've got to try and find the best quality writers for as little money as possible. But now, looking back on it, I should have spent more, as I do now, paying really decent wages to writers, so that I get the best writers coming and working for me.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the people, people think some of the biggest decisions are, some of the most important decisions you ever make in business are around your financials and everything else, but actually they're not. They're around your people, because they can make or break your business completely, and they are the face, they are the ambassadors. So what sort of, you said that you eventually realized that you needed to focus on bringing in the best people. What sort of processes or what sort of things did you do to make sure that you were, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and you were getting that type of quality person coming through?
I think, firstly, you put job adverts up in places where the best people are likely to see them. For my business, for creatives, LinkedIn was the best platform for searching for jobs. And then you've just really got to put in the time to give everyone a fair chance. I'll give you an example. I put a job advert on LinkedIn about 2 months ago, and I got 800 applications within 3 days.
Wow.
And I went through every single one, because you have to go through every single one, really, morally. You should give everyone a chance, but also you never know. You need to go through every one and really find the right people. If you just skim them, you're not necessarily going to. And then I did a second interview. I did an interview stage with 10 to 15 people. Yeah, I really took the whole process, I say seriously. Of course I took it seriously, but I really wanted to make sure I got the absolute perfect person for the job, and luckily I think I have. So
yeah, but I mean, 10 to 15 interviews, I mean, that's a minimum of 15 hours worth of time, if not more. I mean, you do an hour-long interview, you need half an hour to recover and prepare. So, yeah, you're probably talking about closer to 20 hours.
Oh, yeah, it was a long process, but like I say, have to do it to make sure you get the right person for the job.
Yeah, no, but I think the point I'm sort of reinforcing for you is that investment in time, because a lot of people, you see recruitment as being not a hindrance, but they don't see it as, I've not got time, or I need to rush this, or I'm going to put 45 minutes contribute, and they don't necessarily invest that level of time. And it's interesting, it's that word invest, because you're investing that time and investing in finding the right person to invest in your business.
Oh, it really was an investment as well, because that time I was spending doing it, I wasn't working for clients, and
Yes.
you know, it does cost you money in the short term, but you've got to speculate to accumulate, as they say. So you've got to do the work in the short term to hopefully benefit in the long term.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, the word delegate is an important word, and you're very right. You know, for a lot of people that takes quite a few years to for that penny to drop, that you can't actually do everything. You've got to actually have other people help you and do things and take responsibility for you.
Absolutely, and it's difficult, but I'm getting there.
It is. I mean, is there anything, you know, is there any knowledge you've taken on board, any reading you've done, or anything that's helped you with that?
I should say I work with a business coach, so and they've given me guidance on how to recruit. That was quite a big thing, was getting a coach, and it's not an advertisement for a coaching service, but
No.
it was getting a coach and really finding someone who understood the hiring process and the ins and outs of it,
Okay.
who could guide me through the process and make sure that I did it properly.
Yeah.
Other than that, I didn't do a huge amount of reading. I just, because for a writing position, the criteria is quite easy. Was that you had to be able to write, and you had to have the attitude to get on with the company. And I think just through an interview and through test pieces, I did manage to find that quite easily.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, obviously, initial stages when you were trying to do everything yourself before you started this little breakthrough of delegating out to people. Was time management a challenge for you?
Yes, I think it's when I was initially starting out, and I was just a one-man band. It's very difficult to be motivated sometimes when you work as a one-man crew. You know, you think, oh, I can just spend an extra hour in bed, that's fine. I'll just catch up with it later on. Or, you know, procrastination is a very real problem. So that was probably the biggest challenge. I think getting rid of that procrastination, having children, having a family, that certainly helps, because I don't get time to procrastinate now. So, but definitely time management, I think for every freelancer, unless you're absolutely dedicated, can be a problem.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something there as well in terms of, you're right, when you're in business on your own, the easiest person to let down is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you said, I'll have an extra hour in bed, or that can wait till tomorrow, or I can't be bothered doing that today. They're all key behaviours that encroach into time management, because that's what ends up, I'm going to have to do it on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I worked a lot of evenings because I didn't work a lot of mornings.
So. Yeah, absolutely. So you because it doesn't go away; it just sits there. All it does is just rotates around until you eventually deal with it. And sometimes, I think it's fair to say that if you don't deal with it, it actually becomes bigger than what it would have been if you'd done it when you were meant to do it.
Oh, absolutely, and it gets bigger in your mind as well. The longer you leave something, the more you don't look forward to doing it. So that's why I try and get the worst jobs out of the day as soon as possible.
No, absolutely. So in terms of you were talking about your growth, and you were talking about your quality, and you were talking about chasing down to the bottom in terms of price when you first started out. How did you manage your finances around that? I mean, what sort of stuff did you have in place to make sure that you were still making money and you're still viable, etc.?
When I first started, I managed my finances, I'd say, very badly. Like a lot of freelancers probably understand, when you've got the crossover between business and life as your sole trader, and you've got all the money intertwined in one, it's very hard to separate the business's money from your money. And so there were issues there, no major issues, paid my taxes and paid my bills. But, so I think recently becoming a limited company has helped a lot, because that's made me really sit down and work out how much money I need to pay myself as a member of staff. I'm not the business anymore. There is actually a business of which I'm a member of staff. And that's helped a lot to to budget.
Yeah, focus your mind. Focus your mind.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely focused my mind a lot.
Okay. And do you run a cash flow forecast? You get stuff like that in place? Is that something you operate with?
Yeah. So sorry,
Do you manage your cash flow through forecasting? Do you forecast your cash flow, or how are you managing that?
Yes, yeah. So I do have systems in place now. I use a couple of programs to really keep an eye on the cash flow to make sure it's going through. Got a very good accountant as well, so she helps a lot.
And no, good accountants essential.
Got to have a good accountant. They'll save you more money than you spend on them by a lot.
Yeah,
so,
no. Yeah.
Always, but yeah. So yeah, I do have systems in place to manage the cash flow now, and to make sure things are going in a more professional, being run in a professional way as opposed to a one-man band.
Yeah. No. Okay. Good. And so the final question for me today is where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, James?
Oh well, I'd like to see myself in the next 5 years still within the company, a growing company with more employees, more freelancers as well working for us. There is some concern in the industry about the impact of AI on copywriting and how that's going to go. I'd like to see that addressed so that there's some kind of stability for writers, because there's hundreds of thousands, well, millions of creatives who are going to get affected by AI. Yeah, and I just like to be in a business still, be happy, which I am at the moment, and have a growing business with a varying client base, and a few holidays would be good.
You had many holidays?
But
you had many holidays, or is it something?
No, I think this year was my first holiday in about 4 or 5 years.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That must have been loved. The family must have loved that time with you as well.
Yeah, so we had a couple of weeks, and it was nice. Stressful still, because when you're a business owner, you've still got your phone attached to you just to make sure things are going okay. So it's quite difficult to switch off. But I suppose that's the beauty of airplane mode, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is why you've been focused to surround yourself with great people, because in time they should be able to do what needs to be done without bothering you.
That's the aim. That's the way you say in 5 years' time. That would be the aim, to have a business that's running on its own without much of my input, so I can step back a little bit and spend some more time with my family.
Okay, great. And so when you touched on AI, it's interesting because I do understand your concern there around AI, but I think the interesting thing for me, and this is only my view, it's not a qualified view, it's just my view, is the one thing AI fails to deliver is personality.
Oh, absolutely. There is no personality to AI content at the moment. I mean, if I've read some ChatGPT stuff, but it's still pretty hideous. But it's going to be the very bottom rung of copywriting that is affected first. The people that charge 1p a word and try and write a 1,000-word article in an hour just to get it out the door, they're going to be impacted, because AI will be able to write as well as they do soon. So it means that everyone else has got to step up their game and really pump out the best quality content with personality, with feeling, and using all the skills that good copywriters should have.
Yeah, and I think the other thing as well is I'm led to believe that Google and all the other search and all the other engines can pick up when something has been artificially intelligently written and doesn't optimize it for SEO.
Yes and no. There's not that. It's one of those. It seems to be changing constantly, and it's you never know what Google's doing when it comes to their SEO practices. I think you've got to just remember that Google, all they care about is giving the best quality to their people, but more importantly, earning themselves as much money as possible.
Yeah.
So if AI is going to make for a better user experience, then they'll accept it in the end, unfortunately. So like I say, that's why we have to make sure that you're on your game and doing things that AI can't, like you say, putting personality into your writing, using feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose the final piece for me, have you got any words of advice for other business owners who are basically looking to grow their business?
I'd say don't work 25 hours a day. Give yourself some time off. It's amazing what a break will do for you. It really does help focus the mind, and you do come back stronger. don't be afraid as well to push forward. I spent a few years wondering about how I was going to grow the business instead of actually doing it. I should have just gone forward, pushed forward and done it without, still think about it, but I should have taken that step, really, not being quite so afraid of the things that could have gone wrong, and think about what could go right. And it's, when it works, it's a great feeling. And then just enjoy the feeling of being a little bit freer by working for yourself.
Yeah, no, good advice, good advice. So I mean, don't let fear stand in the road of your progress.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Don't pace yourself. Don't try and build Rome in a day, because it never was. And keep yourself at a steady pace will keep your mental well-being, your physical well-being, and your business well-being in a good place. Absolutely great advice. So there's some great stuff in there, James. So first of all, I just want to thank you for your time today, because I think there's some real good nuggets in there for everybody. Some real good learning about your journey as well, in terms of your time and fear and overcoming stuff to get to where you want to get to. So thank you once again for all your time. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been good to speak to you.
It's been absolutely my pleasure, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thanks a lot.